InsyaAllah kita begin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-Fatihah biniyatin nafi wal intifa wa ta'alim wa ta'alum wal ibtida' bin nabi al-mukhtar fi sirri wal ijhar wa biniyati tanasuri wa ta'awuni wa ta'adudi 'ala ad-din wa iqamati syari'ati sayyidil mursalin wa anna Allah yarzuquna kamalan nashat wal himmati wal jiddi wal ijtihad fi talabil 'ulumi an-nafi'ah wa 'amalin biha ma'al ikhlas wa tulal 'umri fi ta'ati Allah wa rasulih wa husnal khatimati indal maut wa ila hadratin nabi سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. الفاتحة. بسم الله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وبه نستعين على أمور الدنيا والدين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال شيخ المؤلف وأدام الله النفع به وبكم في الدارين آمين. رضي الله عنكم وقال رضي الله عنه. Before we begin, any questions? If there's no questions, then inshallah we can start. And of course, today will be the last class before we break for Ramadan, and we will look towards and today we'll be discussing about zakat. Zakat itself actually it's a huge topic because there are two things. There's zakat harta, which is zakatul mal, and zakatul fitr, the zakat fitrah that we are used to. But I will not go through in detail everything about the zakat, especially zakat harta, but I will go through a bit on, but I will try to keep things a bit more relevant to us lah, what we need to know. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'in ala umuri dunya waddin wa sallallahu wa sallam ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. اللهم افتح علينا بفتوح العارفين وفقهنا في الدين وعلمنا تأويل وهدنا إلى سواء السبيل. اللهم ارزقنا يا رب فهم النبيين وحفظ المرسلين وإلهام الملائكة المقربين في عافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم أغننا بالعلم وزينا بالحلم وأكرمنا بالتقوى وجملنا بالعافية برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. قال الشيخ المؤلف ودام الله النفع به وبكم في الدارين يا آمين. رضي الله عنكم وقال رضي الله عنه. الزكاة. وأما الزكاة وهي رابع أركان الإسلام فيجب على المسلم معرفة أنواع الأموال الواجبة فيها، وهي النعم والنقدان والتجارة والركاز والمعدن والمعشرات، وهي الجنوء وهي الحبوب والثمار، فلا زكاة فيما سوى النعم السائمة. Zakat of assets is the fourth. Zakat is the fourth pillar of Islam. Therefore, every Muslim must know the type of possessions on which it is compulsory. These are livestock, na'am, gold and silver, nagdan, trade goods, tijara, buried treasure, rikas, gold and silver mines, ma'dan, and mu'asharat, which are seeds, crops, and fruits. There is no zakat on animal other than livestock grazing on public land. Aywa. So the first thing is, the first introduction is we must understand that zakat is a pillar of Islam, and whoever who does not, in the time of Sayyidina Abu Bakar, after the death of Rasulullah SAW, a lot of people started to refuse to give zakat. And so for those who started to refuse to give zakat, then the Muslim they had to fight with these people. There will be a war between these people, and whoever who refused the obligation of zakat, that means who deny that zakat is obligatory, then they are amongst those who who we consider to be kufur. They are considered to be kufur, because they deny on an obligation which is clear in the Quran. So in the Quran, actually, zakat is mentioned about 30 times. 30 times the term zakat is mentioned. And always you can hear wa aqimus salah wa aqimus salah wa tu zakah, and perform your prayers and give the zakat. So zakat is slightly different than charity. Charity and sadaqah, usually when we look into sadaqah, it has a broad definition. But zakat is more fixed. There's a more rigid definition to zakat. Zakat, there is the person who gives, muzaki. Then there's muzakka, the person who receives. And the person who receives, there are certain set of people who can receive the zakat. And also the thing that we give, and upon what we give. Upon what we give, these are all quite restricted when we look into the term of zakat. So there are the type of possessions on which it is compulsory. So we need to know which are the type of possessions which are compulsory. The reason why we need to know is to know when we need to calculate. So that's why they say it is every Muslim must know the type of possessions on which it is compulsory. Not that they need to know the how to break, what is the qadar and things like that. But more they need to know so that they know what exactly needs to be given as zakat. Because when we look at zakatul mal, the zakat harta as we call it, doesn't mean every single possession needs to be zakat. For example, our house is not necessary for it to be given zakat, although it is our own possession. If you own a house, it is not necessary, unless of course you have a different reasoning for owning a house. For example, I buy a house, my intention is I'm going to buy this house and I'm going to sell this house. So if I sell this house, then it will be under tijara, trade goods. So you're trading with houses, so that will be under trade goods. So the main idea is that not all wealth needs to be given zakat. Not all wealth must be given zakat. For example, if a person owns gold, silver, and bronze, then bronze are the things that bronze are things that then they only need to give zakat based on gold and silver, and not in the bronze. Yeah. Wahia an-na'mu wal nagdan. So the first one is an-na'am, which is your livestock. So livestock in this case, there are three types of livestock. It's also not all livestock, but there are three types of livestock, which is the camel, the cows, and the sheep, goats, and whatever that falls under those categories. The sheep, the goats, the lambs, is it lambs? All those are under the oxes. These are all similar to the cows. So these are the three types livestock. So for livestock, they are looking into these three types, which is mainly, like I said, camel, the cows, the oxen and things like that, and the sheep, goats, and so on and so forth. For the livestock, it's a bit harder to calculate because they have their own howl, and their howl is the same. That means you own the livestock for a year, that's the same. Nisab are different for each of the livestock. So this one I will not go through it because I think it's not relevant to us. Unless, does anyone of you own any livestock? Anyone? Okay. And also there are conditions for the livestock also. The conditions for the livestock, which is, for example, the livestock must be completely yours. I mean, it is your ownership. It is a complete ownership of the livestock. And amongst it also is that it is, if you own land and the livestock gaze upon your land, then it is not to be given zakat. You don't have to give zakat on the livestock. But if you, let's say you own land, you don't own land, but you own livestock, and the livestock they graze on the public land. You have your own there's a padang outside, for example, then they eat in the padang there. Then these livestock, then you have to give zakat upon them. Other than them, then it is not compulsory. So this one I will skip on that's all I'm just going to give on the livestock, because for the nisab, it's very interesting, because there is a nisab for camel, for example, starts with 5, and then how much to give also, there is its own proportions. So I will not go through it, because like I said, we doesn't apply for us. The next one is what applies to us. Actually, I will just retract back a bit, or not retract back, I will just track back a bit. What kind of zakat that we have is basically our savings, the CPF, our business, the stock market, whatever stocks that we have, and also gold. These are what is relevant to us in this current time. In gold. Other than that, then it is not considered to be it is not, I mean, this is what's more relevant to us now lah. Zakat, this kind of zakat. So nagadan is gold and silver. Of course, for us, nagadan, we don't usually, when we mean gold and silver here, is gold and silver in the form of currency. Gold and silver in the form of currency. So our paper money that we have now, the paper money that we have, it falls under this nagadan, gold and silver. So if a person asks why you have to give zakat on paper, the money that we have, the money in the bank and things like that, it is not because it is our possession. That's not the reason why. Because like I said, not all of your possession, not all of your wealth must be given to as zakat. This is only a specific wealth. But gold and silver in the past, nagadan, is to be used as a means of currency to purchase things, which is your what do you call this? There's the term for it, dinar wa dirham. They call it dinar wa dirham. So you have the dinar and dirham, which is their currency that we use. So our currency now, where we call it mutlaqut thamanin, our current currency now is we use our Singapore dollar, USD, and things so on and so forth. So this becomes part of the wealth. So we given kias back to gold and silver, and that's why we use this to give zakat. Now, okay. So this is where it is this is where we say that we look into the 86 grams. This is where our normal wealth is being given, and so to give, when it becomes obligatory for us to give zakat, it must fulfill these 4 criteria. The first one is that the person who owns the gold and silver is Islam. I think this one is clear for us. The second one is that it must be milkutam. That means we own the we own the goods. It is in its entirety. That means we have it, we can use it at that point of time. And then it has reached its nisab. That's the third one. And the fourth one is which it has completed the hawl, which is 1 year. 1 year. 1 year in terms of the Islamic calendar. Now, the gold and silver that we are referring to in this case is the gold and silver that you use as a form of savings or as a form of accumulation of wealth, rather than the gold and silver that you use to buy as your perhiasan, as a adornment. That ladies sometimes they wear gold, sometimes they have gold pakai macam apa last time mami jarum sampai sampai gelang sampai sini. For this kind, therefore for them these bracelets and things like that are not considered to be gold and silver that you have to give you have to give zakat upon. So the very least that we tell you, in order for you to make sure that it is used as an adornment, is that what we can advise our parents, our mothers, men cannot wear gold and silver, it's the ladies who can wear gold and silver, is to use them, to wear them at least once every year, to use them at least once. So they break, at least there was one period of time that we get them to use as form of adornment. So the gold and silver that we are referring to, right? The gold and silver is gold and silver that is used as accumulation of wealth. People buy gold bars or things like that, and they keep. This is then we call it accumulation of wealth. Likewise, if you have, for example, our mothers, let's say they have a bracelet, a gold bracelet, jewelry, and then the gold bracelet breaks. So now she doesn't have the intention to fix this gold bracelet. So now this gold bracelet, can it be used as a form of adornment? Can we say that it is used as a jewelry? You cannot use anymore because it is broken. So if there is no intention to fix the gold bracelet, so now this gold bracelet becomes an accumulation of wealth. It is no longer a form of adornment. So if 1 year passes without the intention or without fixing the gold bracelet, then in this case, this gold bracelet, you have to give zakat upon the gold bracelet. So what is the nisab? The nisab for gold, and likewise the nisab for gold is 20 mithqal, or what we call it, 86 grams. 86 grams. And so what we have to give is only 2.5% of whatever that we have. So the minimum amount that you have to reach in order, and minimum amount is 86 grams. 86 grams of gold. So alhamdulillah, now I think MUI is already they have the full level. They have the current and past nisab values. And the current nisab value for today, because gold is now very expensive, is $7,098. 86 grams. So if you can see, maybe I share screen. The current nisab today is $7,098. $7,098. So we need to look here. Oh, this one there's a fall. So when we look into these prices of gold, for example, we need to be careful here. When we look at our own wealth, we need to ask ourselves, because our wealth, it is given, it is kias to gold, right? So because it's our mutlaqul thamanin, is our currency. So one important thing for us is that when we look into the gold and silver prices, and we look into the nisab values, when we look back at our bank account, okay, I think currently now the fatwa is you don't have to, you look at this year fatwa. I mean, our bank account, let's say March, you see March, there's a huge increase. It's now at $7,000.98. So for the current fatwa is, if I'm not wrong, is that let's say in November, you have $7,000 only. Let's say all the previous years, it exceeds. All the previous years, let me have a use a laser pointer. No. All the previous years, you exceed this amount. Let's say you have 8,000, 9,000, 8,000, but November suddenly you drop to 7,000. But after that, you went back up. So the current fatwa is because you drop into 7,000, then there is you have less than the nisab value, which is 7,098. Then you don't have to give zakat. You don't have to give zakat. However, I'm not too sure whether this is the fatwa in Singapore, but this is the fatwa in Malaysia. However, this is according most of the fuqaha, this is wrong. That means you need to look back to what is the nisab value at that point of time. So in the case of when I gave in November that it falls, let's say you have 7,000. The thing is you look at what is the value of 86 grams of gold at that time. So in November, the value of 86 grams of gold is 6,790. So if he has $7,000, if he has $7,000, does he have more than the nisab value? He has more than the nisab value, right? So he has more than the nisab value. Therefore, he has to give zakat. Likewise, because that means he has his full year, he has the full hawl. Likewise, you go back to November. For example, let's say we're in November now. Let's say we're in November now. So we are right now in November. And the amount of money we have is how much we have. There's now 6,790. Yeah. Let's say the amount of money we have at November 6,800 or 6,000. Yeah, 6,800 can. So if we have 6,800 in the month of November, and we have has completed one haul from our last zakat. So in this case, do we need to give? And we have always had 6,800. There's no change. We are in the past also we had 6,800. If we follow the new fatwa, means we need to give zakat, because in the past, I mean, if I have only had 6,800, yes, more than 6,790, then I need to give zakat. But if we think again, in the month of September, August, July, and June, and March also, my amount of money I have, 6,800, is lower than the nisab value. So if it's lower than the nisab value, right? If it's lower than the nisab value, therefore the haul breaks. So there is a gap in the haul. Because there's a gap in the haul, that the amount of money I have is less than 6,000. The amount of money I have, 6,800, is less than the value of the nisab. So can you all understand this part? So when we look back, for example, I think for most of us, you're students, maybe you only got 5,000 or something like that at most, or maybe some of you, mashallah, have more. So we look back, we have to track back. When we want to give our zakat, of course, yes, the amount of value, yes, is at that point of time. For example, I look at March, as in if I reach the nisab, I mean, to see whether you qualify, you need to look back at the history, the whole 1 year. Do I have more than the nisab value at every single point of time in that year. So you go back to you can go to MUIS website, look at the nisab value and see if you exceed. See if you exceed all the time. Then after that you can decide to give. Then you give your zakat. But the calculation, how much of your money? So now I reach nisab. I have the hawl, I have nisab. I have hawl, I have nisab. So now the question is, how much do I need to give? I only need to give 2.5% of whatever I have. 2.5% of what I have. 1/40. Fraction is 1/40. So in books of fiqh, they usually give 1/40, but in mathematics, we know 1/40 is equals to 2.5%. Any questions?
Yeah, man, I got a question.
Yes, Hasbi.
The 2.5% what you have, right? Is it because I'm not sure whether I hear for some reason say 2.5 of like the lowest amount you have in that 1 year period, or is it 2.5 of whatever you have at the end of the 1 year period?
2.5% of the lowest amount. Yes, the 1 year period. In the
Okay,
madhab
then,
Imam Shafi, 2.5% of the lowest. In madhab Imam Hanafi is the 2.5% of the highest one. Yeah. But the best is for you, if possible, the best for us is to give more. So usually our teachers, when they teach, they say our madhab 2.5% of the lowest, but they say if you want to be safe, you can take 2.5% of your current one. That means you give more. Or if not, they say the higher, if you want even better, to give 2.5% of your highest value, which you follow the madhab Imam Hanafi. But this is not required. If you want, what we need is actually 2.5% of the lowest one. Now, any further questions?
Yeah, for the how, right? Do you follow just like, let's say you pay in November, then do you just take it as the following November you pay again, assuming you meet the nisab criteria, or you really have to follow the Islamic calendar because it shift forward and a bit by then?
You should follow the Islamic calendar. So the reason, if you realize, right, the reason why kita selalu bayar zakat harta in the month of Ramadan, it is because it is easy to keep track. You understand? The reason why you can delay it, that means it is wajib upon you to pay. But the reason why usually we pay during the month of other question, is it okay? The reason why we play in the month of Ramadan is because it's easy to keep track. We pay our zakat harta, we pay our zakat fitrah, and then also the rewards of doing ibadah in the month of Ramadan is multiplied. So that's why we usually do it in the month of Ramadan. Yeah. So otherwise, I think your answer also should be answered. Usually, for Madhab Imam Shafi, you can what is required is for you to take the lowest value. Lowest value. Okay. Any further questions? If not, another thing that you need to be careful is that when we look into gold and silver, this is especially for those who has gold and silver, that is not used as form of adornment, but it is also used as but as in they don't use it for adornment, but they keep gold and silver as a form of like perhiasan in the house. Like you have silver, I'm not too sure, like gold and silver fork and spoons, for example. And by the way, to eat from gold and silver plates, gold and silver fork and spoons, and all these are haram. You cannot eat from gold and silver. Even the drink from gold and silver cups, all these are haram. And all these, you need to give zakat upon them. The one that you, for ladies, what that is not what you don't have to give zakat is gold and silver that you, for the ladies, that they wear as adornments. Can can Okay, this one, the next part is I wanted to talk about CPF, and this is a bit controversial lah. This is a bit controversial. For CPF, now you have your special account, you have ordinary account, and you have what's the third one? Then Medisave. Huh? Medisave, eh? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So you have special account, ordinary account, and you have Medisave. Medisave, we can put aside. Medisave will never be zakatable. The reason is you will never be able to touch Medisave. And when you are able to touch Medisave is when you have to pay for your bills, for example. Then Medisave keluar. You understand this part? So only when Medisave. So in this case, Medisave will never be milik hutang. It will never be like a milik that you can use because you have no control over it. Ordinary account, special account, this one is a bit more interesting. The current fatwa is the whole CPF tak zakat. It means you don't have to count at all. This is the newest fatwa, the latest fatwa. You don't have to. When you at the age of 55, then they start giving you your pay, you're withdrawing for the account. Then you take out. Let's say you withdraw 5,000, for example. At the age of 55, you withdraw. Okay, sekarang haul 7,098. So for some reason, let's say you withdraw $10,000. So they say the current, I'm just sharing the current fatwa, is that after you the $10,000, then you wait for 1 year. At the end of that 1 year, do you still have that $10,000? So these $10,000 can be considered to be your savings. Your savings. And then you look at the nisab, or you can mix it your savings, and then you see, and then after that you see whether it's the zakatable. This is the latest fatwa. However, many of our teachers disagree with it. They disagree. The reason why they disagree is because when I mean the teachers, I'm talking about Sheikh Fuad and Sheikh Mahmud. The reason why they disagree is because we have to look that even the special account, which we can only withdraw when we are 85, is it? Is that the age? 85 years old, and the special account. Even on, let's say, your special account, the idea is eventually, if you live until 85, that money will be milik hutang for you. That means you have control, you have authority, is full your money. So you have control and authority over it, although you cannot do anything with it. So in this case, you have to give zakat on the money. But it is not compulsory for you to give the zakat first. So I can foresee this to be very confusing. So I'm just gonna keluarkan, I'll give like a whiteboard. Okay. So for example, there's a difference between have to pay zakat. I'm using my own terms here. There's a difference between have to pay zakat and you have to pay. Okay, I will change it. Have to calculate zakat and have to pay zakat. I'm using these are my own terms. Okay, I'm not using the terms that are used. When you have to calculate zakat is when you have your haul, you have your nisab. Haul is the year, and then you have nisab, right? Which is the minimum value. Minimum value. Have to pay zakat is when you have the haul, you have the nisab, and they have the complete ownership. Can see the difference? You have a haul, you have the nisab, but at the same time you have complete ownership. So this is when you have to pay. The first one you have to calculate first. But when you need to pay is once you have complete ownership, which is called milk utam. You have complete ownership, then after that you pay. For example, another instance is if I lend money. Let's say I lend Hafi $10,000. And Hafi, I give the period to lend the loan period about 2 years. So the $10,000 is for Hafi, right? Hafi has the $10,000. So on my part, that $10,000 is mine. I know that I have $10,000 in value. It's just it is not my complete ownership yet. So I have to calculate. After my first year, I have to calculate 2.5% of that $10,000. In my second year, I have to calculate 2.5% of the remaining. Can you understand? Of the remainder, that 10,000, 2.5% of 10,000 is what? 250, is it? 250, I think. Yes, 250. Yeah. Right? 2% is 2,000. No. 2% is 200. So 250, 2.5%. So $250. So that means I'm left with 9,750. My second year, I have to calculate 2.5% of that 9,750. So the 250 plus 2.5% of 9,750. That is I need to calculate. But when do I have to pay that one is once Hafi return me the money. When Hafi return me the money already, now I have complete ownership. I need to pay my zakat. Can you understand this? Boleh faham? Can you understand? That is when you have to pay. The second, another way is, I decide to pay. Hafi haven't returned me the money. I just decide to pay. This is also okay. Sah. This is also okay. So likewise for your CPF. If you want to follow according to the madhab, do I have to calculate? Yes, I have to calculate. Every year I calculate. So if let's say my first year, gaji, I say 60K inside my CPF. You have 60K, then you do the calculation accordingly. So the CPF kan dia naik turun. So you can monitor. And sometimes when we buy house, nanti dia turun. Then and things like that, then you see. The best is if you can pay at that point of time. But if not, you can accumulate for all the years. And then once that at the age of 55, they give you whatever you have, you pay for the whatever that has been accumulated. This one is a bit difficult to explain to people and a bit difficult to tell people to follow. People are very reluctant because it's money and it's a lot of money. Actually, when you think about it, CPF accumulation, you calculate over the years, it is a lot of money. So up to you. You want to follow the madhab or you want to follow this? It's up to you. But I'm just saying that I'll be following this, inshallah. Because to me, this is the safest. But this is betul-betul if you want to follow the rulings in the madhab, this is what we have. This is what you're supposed to do. So can I understand? So it is possible that there is some it is possible there is some it is possible that there is some years that you don't have to calculate because let's say for example you buy a house. For example, you buy a house and you pay in full. You don't take loans and everything. You pay in full. In this case, you have to once it goes below the nisab values, then you don't have to calculate for it. So I mean, one of the advice is, although you don't have to, but the best is when you calculate your CPF, you pay for your CPF also. So you don't feel the pain at the age of 25 when you have to pay. Okay, any questions? No questions, huh? So this is likewise for our this is for our CPF. The thing like I said, it's very hard to explain to people this. You don't if people want to follow, they want to follow Muiz punya fatwa, that's up to them. But this is what we have learned from our teachers. And when we look into the ordinary accounts, special accounts, Medisave is the one where you don't have to pay because there is no hope of us having complete ownership of the money, because it is decided for you when you are going to use it. It's either you use it when you're hospitalized, Allah yahfad, and then the government, you can pay through your Medisave, or when you pass away, then it goes to your waris. It goes to your estate. Any questions here? You understand? Boleh? So like I said, hawl 12 years, 12 months. 12 months. Actually, you can use November to November. Hasbi, when I'm looking at the book, actually they use the example of March to March. I think Hasbi you can use. But usually what I learn is when you use hawl, when they talk about hawl, is always according to Islamic calendars. But this book that I'm reading, they use March to March. Can Hasbi? Sorry about that.
Yeah, can.
Okay. So that is for the food.
Then wouldn't that be a problem for those years where you have two of the same? So macam example, there'll be a year in the future where you get 2 Ramadans in the same year, right?
Yeah.
Then
so you just keep that because the 2 Ramadan will never be 2 Ramadans at the same time. The 2 Ramadans will always be 12 months apart. So it will still be quite far away from each other. So you still got your 12 months. So from March to March. It will never be like March and then June again. You understand? So it's still 12 months. The difference is, I think the Islamic calendar is about 360 days. 360 days, 355 to 355 days. Our lunar Gregorian calendar is 300. Sorry, the Gregorian calendar is 365 days. So it's only just about 10 days difference. Okay. But the best, of course, we just keep it to Ramadan. That's the easiest to me. I think the easiest for us to keep track. Okay. So that is on gold and silver, gold and our simpanan apa ni? Simpanan our savings and our CPF. Then there is a silver, which is on the silver is 800 and just to share with you lah, but I don't think any of us keep silver. Silver is 800 and the nisab is 854.6 grams. 854.6. Yeah, nisab gold is 86 grams. Okay. Silver is 854.6 grams. Why the can did I miss anything out? Yeah. Sorry. So Mazhab Imam Shafi, we take the 2.5% of the lowest value. Mazhab Imam Hanafi is 2.5% of the current value. Sorry. My bad. 2.5% of the current value. So you can, if you want, the best of course, if you can, 2.5% of the highest value. Inshallah, Allah will reward us. So just 2.5%. So I mean, of course, if one month, let's say we got 10,000, and another month we got 100,000, of course, then it's a big difference. But you know, 2.5% of your money is still not that much. What is 2.5%?
Well, is the one we have to give is 2.5% of the nisab or 2.5% of our total value?
The one that you have to give is 2.5% of the lowest of your value of our savings. So let's say in the whole month, I save 13,000, 15,000, 17. In the whole year, 13,000, 15,000, 17,000. So everything all is at the nisab, above the nisab value for one whole year. The whole year meet the haul and nisab. So I look for the lowest point, then I give from the lowest point. Yeah, but the best is of course you give a bit more than that. For us, because we are all baligh, the duty to pay our zakat falls upon us. If your parents pay for you zakat, you must ask from your parents. If your parents pay without telling you, then that is a tak sah. Tak sah. Understand it? So that is for nagdan, gold and silver. Next one is tijara. Tijara. So tijara is your business. So you need to look at your so the business, you have a few things that is included in business. You have your stocks and you have your profits. So there are two things, stocks and profit. You have the stocks. You have your stocks and you have your profits. So when we look at profits, most of the time we look into, when we talk about business, most of the time people consider their profits. But also when you talk about business, zakat on your business, one of the things that you need to consider is also, you need to also consider the stocks that you have. And the stocks that you have. The value of the stocks that you have. So it becomes wajib once if it fulfills that the person who is the owner of the business is a Muslim, the business that he owns is his in its entirety, then he has the intention to buy or to trade with these goods. So that's why when we talk about this, we need to look back into some people, they have this intention. I want to buy this house, and in 5 years' time, I'm going to sell the house. In 5 years' time, I'm going to sell the house. He has made that firm intention that this house that I'm buying, it is for trade. I buy the house, in 5 years' time, I will sell the house. If you have this kind of intention, then that house is considered to be trade goods. The house that you bought is considered to be trade goods, and it is wajib for you to come out for zakat on the value of the house. So once again, 2.5% of the value of the house. But if we buy a house and we say, let's say we buy a house, we say this is my retirement plan. This is my retirement plan. This is my retirement plan. If it said if again, if in the future I need to sell a house, then I will sell the house. In this case, it is not, you have not made the intention for it to be a trade good. So in this case, you don't have to give zakat on the house. Can you see the difference? So people who are involved in property, or even those who say 5 years, I sell the house, I'm going to upgrade the house, for example. People like this, then the house is considered to be trade goods. The house is considered to be trade goods, and then they have to give zakat upon the goods, upon the house, based on the value of the house, at the once you complete the haul and nisab. If it hits the nisab, in Singapore definitely will hit nisab, and if it hits the haul. Okay. Any question? So the goods that we are talking about are goods that we use, the goods that we are using that we have intended for trade. So if let's say you have I think there are, according to some, I think that time that we were discussing, then they say that actually some of the what do you call it, the accounting companies, they can actually set for you this. Some of the Muslims accountants, they actually know how to set aside to know that the amount of stocks you have. So some of it is the value of your company. It is not necessarily the value of your company, because your company value can include, you know, the assets that you hold, which is assets that is not meant for trade. So in this case, these assets, they are not zakatable. That means you don't have to give zakat. The question is on there's a question. Another question is on the issue of rent. Let's say you buy a house and you intend to rent, so your rent is not considered to be traded goods. You are leasing someone, so that whatever the profit is more, the profits that you get from the rent. Whatever profits that you get from the rent. In this book, there's I think it's, something which we think we can understand together, is that if there is I think some people they are involved in doing like black market, like you stock up on rice, flour, basically necessity goods, and then your intention is that I want to trade this when the prices fall. Maybe for example like now, then in this case the hukum is haram. The hukum is haram. Aywa. Then any questions or not on this? I think I want so when we look sorry, yes, Avi.
I mean, I don't really know how like ownership of houses work but let's see in the future kan, kalau I ada kahwin dah nak beli rumah kan, and then we plan to sell the house, our intention is to sell the house, and then we pay the house completely macam half-half. So the zakat kita bayar half-half or anybody, either of us can pay?
Then the zakat would be half-half, yeah. But I think no, actually I think either this one let me get back to you on this. Yeah, I think I better get back to you on this.
Thanks.
Yeah, because it's a shared ownership. Can I will get back to you on this. Another thing is when we look into remember when we talk about business also, we are looking into profits. We are not looking into what do you call this revenue. We are looking into profits. So for example, if let's say I had in order for me to sell in order for me to start my business, or the capital that I need for the business. Let's say I need 80,000. Let's say I need 10,000 for as a capital. And then once I use the 10,000, and then now my revenue stream come in, and then I have let's say 80,000 as a revenue. So on this case, you take your 80,000, you minus your capital, the profit, then you look at the profit. This profit, then you give zakat upon the profit. Yeah. So usually, I think if you own business, usually, I mean, big businesses usually they will get people who the accountants to help to calculate for you. And then the next one is on your stocks. For stocks, is once again is 2.5%. 2.5% of the value of the stocks. So for stocks, you don't consider whether there is a profit or there is you had a profit or you had a loss. And that means, for example, you buy the stocks for, let's say you buy the stocks for 10,000. You see, buy stocks at 10,000. Then the prices of the stocks fall to 9,000. You still pay. You still give zakat on the stocks. Okay, so that is for nagdan. Sorry, that is for tijara. Before I continue, any further questions? No, huh? Then after that is buried treasure rikas. Buried treasure rikas usually when we talk about time of Jahiliyyah, gold and silver mines, ma'dan, and muasyarat. Muasyarat is if you own land. If you own land, you have your own ladang. Then there is you have to give on this on the crops. It is what that you have to give is the first one is those bijian, the likes of like your rice, wheat, corn, green bean, for example. All these that you have to give, and another one is fruits. So these two things. So you can have even if you have you sell all vegetables, for example, then these vegetables you don't have to give zakat on the vegetables. For example, if it's all like, let's say you just sell lettuces, they don't fall in either of these two categories. Can? And the nisab, okay, I think I won't go through this because it's also another it's interesting. I mean, it doesn't apply for us now, right? And it's already 6:50 already. Can? So that is for zakat of zakat mal. So we can continue from the reading. ويشترط الحول لها وكذلك يشترط للنقود والتجارة ويشترط في هذه الأنواع النصاب أيضا وواجب النقدين والتجارة ربع العشر وواجب الحبوب والثمار التي سقيت بمؤنة نصف العشر وبغير مؤنة العشر. A precondition of the zakat becoming obligatory is the passing of 1 lunar year, which is also a condition for money and trade goods. Another condition is that they reach the nisab, the lower limit above which zakat becomes fardu. The amount of that has to be paid on money and trade good is 2.5%. On crops and fruits grown by irrigation is 5%, and if the land is not irrigated, it is 10%. So I think I won't go through the 5% and 10% part. The next one is zakatul fitr, because we have zakatul fitri to give. وزكاة الفطر واجبة على كل مسلم إذا فضلت عن قوته وقوت من يقوته يوم العيد وليلته وهي 4 أمداد بمد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وتجب النية في الجميع. Zakat al-fitr, zakat of fitr has to be paid by every Muslim who possesses more than his actual needs and the needs of his dependents on the day of Eid and the evening preceding it. It is 4 mud of the Prophet ﷺ upon him and his family be peace. And it is obligatory for one to make niyah. I want to make intention. Zakat fitr is basically on every Muslim. The first thing is we look into every Muslim, even a baby that is born in the month of Ramadan. Even you have a baby born in the month of Ramadan. And then as long as they meet the morning and the evening of Shawwal, on the first day of Shawwal, then the night and the evening of the day of Shawwal, then you have to, it is compulsory for them to give zakat al-fitr. It is compulsory for them to give zakat fitr. And then the thing is, and then you need to see at that point of time on the day of Shawwal, does he have enough to fulfill the needs of him and his dependents or not? So alhamdulillah for us, most of us, we don't have to give. But for most people, they have to. I mean, for some people, they sorry, for alhamdulillah for us, we have to give. But there are some people who are fakir and miskin, on that is such that on the day of Hari Raya, they still are dependent on some on some income. And for these people, then it is not compulsory for them to give zakat fitri. And what is compulsory is 4 mud. 4 mud of with the amdadin Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 4 mud of the mud of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 1 mud is about 625 grams, if I remember correctly. 1 mud is about 625 grams. Let me just check. Or what we call it, 1 sock. Yeah, which is about 2.3 kg. Yeah. Better to increase. Where do you pay? I think this is very important to know where you pay. For us, alhamdulillah, most of the time we spend our time in Singapore, so it's not a problem. But for example, our friends who are in France, who are in Australia, where they pay is where they will be on the day of Hari Raya. This is a common mistake that people make. It means they pay, for example, I'm in Singapore. Come Hari Raya, on the 1st of Shawwal, I'll be in Malaysia. But they pay their zakat fitri in Singapore. This is wrong. They have to pay in Malaysia. That means either they wakilkan someone to pay before Hari Raya, or on the day of Hari Raya, before Salat Hari Raya, they go and pay. Or after Salat Hari Raya, then they go and pay in Malaysia. So where you pay your zakat fitri, where you have to give out your zakat fitri, it is where you will be on the night of Hari Raya. On the night of Hari Raya. Understand? So on the night of Hari Raya, that's when you have to give your zakat fitri. That is the place where you keluarkan your zakat fitri. So this is something which, please, we need to, this is a common mistake that a lot of people make. That means they are going to spend their zakat, they are going to spend, even for those, for example, who do Ramadan in Mecca, for example. They do their Ramadan in Mecca. That means Hari Raya, they will be, at the end, they do the last 10 nights or something, and Hari Raya, they will spend over there. So for these kind of people, they have to give their zakat fitri over there, not in Singapore. Not in Singapore. So their zakat fitri is to be given where they will be when the sun sets for Shawwal, on the first day of Shawwal. So the condition, of course, the first one is Islam. The second one is the person must meet the person must meet the Maghrib of Shawwal. That means the Maghrib that comes into Shawwal and the evening of Shawwal. So for example, for those who are born, for example, after, for example, the night of Shawwal, and then they are born after Maghrib. That means after Maghrib, they didn't meet the time, the end of Ramadan. That means when the sun sets. So they are born after Maghrib. They say they are born at midnight. Shawwal, they born at 12 a.m. For these kind of people, for these babies, you don't have to give zakat upon them. But for those babies who are born before Maghrib, then they have to zakat on them. And likewise, for those who, so even for those who pass away on the day of Shawwal, for these kind of people, they have to, if they haven't paid zakat, then the waris, the family, must pay zakat upon them. zakat fitri. But for those family for a person who pass away before Maghrib, that means the last day of Ramadan, then for them they don't have to pay zakat fitri, zakat fitrah. So for a family, for a baby also who was born before Maghrib, and but Allah Yahfaz, they didn't get to meet the Maghrib of the first of Shawwal, then these babies also, it is not compulsory for them to pay. It is not, the zakat fitrah is not compulsory upon them. Any questions? Can I think this is more or less what is relevant to us at this point of time. Maybe I will just share the intentions to come out for zakat. Zakat fitrah, there is you need to intend. Wajib for you to give the intention to come out. You need to give. So when you the intention, type it out. نويت هذا الطعام زكاة فطرتي بدني وأبداني أولادي وزوجي وأمي والواجب إخراجها علي لله رب العالمين. So for the intention is نويت هذا الطعام. نويت هذا الطعام زكاة الفطر. زكاة الفطرة بدني. وجهها لله تعالى لله رب العالمين. I just put the shuttle for us. هذا طعام زكاة فطرة بدني وأبداني أولادي وزوجيتي أمي الواجب al-wajibah ikhrajuha ilahi yaitu. Oh no, it's 9. And so it's nawaitu. Alamak. Susah. Okay. So I don't know why I don't know if it looks off to you, but it looks off to me macam tu. But basically what if you want to write in English, I intend with this food zakat fitrah on myself then and my children, my wife. So you just delete accordingly, and my mother. That is obligatory for me to give out or the intention. And if you were to wakil to someone else, if you were to entrust someone else to do it, then you can just say wakal to. For example, if wakal tuka fi ikhraj zakat fi ikhraj zakat fitrati wa niyyataha. Niyyatiha wa tafriqiha. Wakaltuka fi ikhraj zakat fitrati wa niyyatiha wa tafriqiha. You can see it. Let me know you cannot see it. The meaning is I trust you to give my zakat. Trust you in giving my zakat. And attention distribution. And then the person who receives the wakil, he must accept. Oh man. Then there's the doa, but I think the time also doesn't permit us. So the doa, maybe if you all go to the zakat centers and stuff like that, then there will be there is a doa. Maybe I think I can just also write down the doa. Allahumma taqabbalha minni kama taqabbalha taqabbaltaha Ibrahim khalilika wa Muhammad Ibrahim khalilika wa Okay, so it's Allahumma. So, oh Allah, accept from me taqabbalha, accept it from me, just like how you have accepted from Ibrahim, your companion, Khalilika, wa Muhammadin, and Muhammad, your prophet. Muhammadin. Okay. And the next condition for a person, okay, let me give you all time to copy. Okay, nah? So the last condition for zakat fitrah on top of the one that I have given, which is Islam, that he has met the 2 Shawwal, and he has the means for himself and his and those who are under his apa and those of his dependents. So there are the three earlier conditions that I mentioned, and then the fourth condition is that they have to be free. That means, but they are not slaves. So that's the fourth condition. Okay. So any questions before I continue? Okay. So the next one is, when do I need to come out with the zakat fitrah? The time where when you can start coming out you can start giving zakat fitrah is from the 1st of Ramadan. From 1st of Ramadan you can start paying your zakat fitrah. When it is wajib, the time that it is wajib for you to give zakat fitrah is once you have entered the first of Shawwal, when the sun has set, when the sun has set, and then you have the Maghrib of the first of Shawwal, and at that point of time, once it has become wajib, there's a time where it's sunnah to give, the best time to give, and when is makruh to give. So it is sunnah to give after the prayer of subuh, before the imam prays the Eid prayers. So that's why some people you can see later they will queue up on the first day of Hari Raya, pagi Hari Raya, and at the zakat office, you can see them queuing up. They are trying to do this. The thing is, in Singapore, it is very difficult for us to do this anymore. It's, unless you go and salat subuh lah, you salat subuh dekat masjid, see if there's any zakat officer there. If not, it becomes a problem. Becomes a problem because you are rushing. A lot of people are trying to, those who are zakat officers also are trying to rush, and a lot of people are rushing. So just if you are confident you can do it, then up to you lah. But if not, and you can just pay during Ramadan as what we are used to. The time that is makruh is after the prayer of Hari Raya, and the time that it becomes haram is after the first of Shawwal. So I mean, from the second Shawwal onwards, haram for you to. It is haram, but it is still wajib. It means it is sinful for you to give the zakat at that time, but it is compulsory for you. It means if you don't do both, then you're involved in a bigger sin. Okay. Who is able to receive zakat? There are 8 categories of people who is able to receive zakat. The first one is the faqir. The first one is those who are in the faqir. So in this case, they are called asnaf. Asnaf, the first one is the faqir, fuqara. So the people who are faqir, these kind of people, they are the people where their income does not even meet its half of their daily necessities. Their daily income does not meet half of their daily necessities. So these people are the part of the fuqara. So they are dependent on let's say, extremely dependent, maybe on state aid or some other aid from social organizations and so on and so forth. The next one is the masakin, where their daily income does not meet they meet more than half. It is more than half of their daily allowance, their daily necessities, but it's still not enough. So they still need a bit more top up aid from other places for them to meet their daily necessities. The third one is amil, which is people who are appointed by the authority to take zakat and to give out the zakat. So this is amil. The fourth one is mu'allaf. When we talk about mu'allaf, is those who have converted to Islam, who have just converted to Islam, and that their iman is still not strong. Their iman is still not strong, and they are still susceptible, from the outside, the other religions. So, for example, some other religions, if they can give, so the idea is for them to give them money so that their heart suka dengan Islam. The next one is riqab, which is slaves. The sixth one is the gharimin, which is those who are in debt. So for those who are like this, so for those who are in debt, these are people who are in actually more like massive amount of debt. I mean, those who are in debt and they cannot pay their debts. So you can give zakat to them. And then the seventh one is those who are fighting for in the path of Allah fi sabilillah. And the last one is Ibn Sabil, is those who are stuck. They cannot go back to their country. These are, like what's the show? The Terminal, the Tom Hanks show, the Terminal. Stuck in the airport. He cannot go anywhere. So these kind of people, they don't have enough money to go back to their country, or they are stuck. They don't have, for example, like the Terminal, they cannot. He's stuck there. He doesn't have money. So these kind of people, they can. I mean, if they're Muslim, they can receive the zakat. And the strongest opinion is that you must give is that you must give to all 8 asnaf. That's the strongest opinion. But if it is possible to give in all 8, if not, it is to as much of the all 8. But there is an opinion where you can just give to one person. There's an opinion that you can give to one person, and even if that person is, as long as that person belongs to any of the 8 categories. So for example, I know a person who is in need, I can give to the person. And in fact, this is nowadays people like Ustaz Anwar and some of our other teachers, they actually encourage this, to give zakat to these people, because sometimes the zakat, when Muiz gives zakat, they give about even, like quite evenly out, so about 150 per person. So these 150 doesn't help them to go far. But there are some people who, they can benefit more. If let's say your zakat is about 3,000, for example, you know that they can benefit a lot with these 3,000. So you give them the 3,000, so that at least it really helps. It probably has a more concrete help for the person. And you need to give your zakat at the place where you get your income from. So if your business, for example, if you have a business in Malaysia, then you have to give your zakat in Malaysia. If your business is in Singapore, then it's in Singapore. Even though you are overseas. This is for zakat harta, zakat harta. This is for zakat harta. But zakat fitrah is still the same. When you say zakat fitrah, you give at the at where you will be on the night of Hari Raya. And when you give your zakat, you should say hadhihi zakatu. For zakat harta, you must mention hadhihi zakatu mali. So you say, this is my zakat harta. Hadhihi zakatu mali. This is my zakat on my wealth. The wakil of the niyat is still the same as what we have mentioned in the past. I think I will stop here. The rest, I think it may be a bit too, maybe not so applicable for us, and I don't want to make it too heavy. Then, any questions? Any questions? Hasbi, any questions, Hasbi?
Nope.
Okay, if there's no questions, then inshallah. Inshallah, then next week will already be 1st of Ramadan. Second, so that means so I may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the door of hidayah and tawfiq to all of us, such that we are able to and live Ramadan with the best of our capabilities. Ramadan of iman and wahtisaban. Ramadan that allow us to attain piety at the end of it. Ramadan that allow us to become better Muslims. Ramadan that enables us to become better people. Ramadan that enable us to the Ramadan, the kind of Ramadan that forgive us from our sins of the past. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us hidayah, tawfiq and hidayah, and in order to allow us to observe our fast, to read a lot of the Quran in abundance, to do our prayers, and to attain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and maybe be amongst those who attain success at the end of Ramadan, the ones who really says who are really, you know, when we say minal aidin wal faizin, those who really attain felicity and success, may we be amongst those who attain felicity and success. Inshallah, we will either meet during Shawwal or after Shawwal. Either I will decide. So today is the last one. And Alhamdulillah, before I close, I would like to seek forgiveness from all of you, either now or those who will be watching this, for all my errors and any of the mistakes that I have made. Please make dua for me and for my family. Inshallah, and all the best. I think it's also going to be our exam periods. Some of us will start be doing on FYP and things like that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us his aid. Nasrullah al-Gharib. The aid of Allah is near. We are always in need of his aid. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us his aid. And inshallah, always remember at the end of the day, the main intention for us is to become better servants. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends down the command to fast, he says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykumus siyam kama kutiba alal ladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. You see that so that you may attain piety, so that you may become amongst the people who have attained taqwa. So that is the main outlook or the main result that you attain for Ramadan. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily that we in taqwa we attain piety by praying in abundance or by giving charity in abundance, but we attain piety in struggling in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do what we can, and when we do what we can, and it is really what we can, and we don't have to do more than what we can. Do what you can, but make sure it is what you can, not what we think we can, or not what we not what we, it is not the best. Basically, we make sure we just do our best. Inshallah, at the end of the day, inshallah, we will see each other. Hopefully, during Shawwal, maybe we can meet up or something like that. And inshallah, I don't know, maybe Hasbi, maybe you can meet up in school for Tarawih or something. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات. And of course we will end today with dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbana anfa'na bima 'allamtana, Rabbi 'allimna alladhi yanfa'una, Rabbi faqihna wa faqih ahlana وقرابات لنا في ديننا مع أهل الكتر أنثى وذكر. ربي وفقنا ووفقهم لما ترتدي قولا وفعلا كرما، وارزق الكل حلالا دائما، وأخل الأتقياء علما، نحظى بالخير ونكفى كل شر. ربنا أصلح لنا كل شؤون، وأقر بالرضا منك العيون، واقض عنا ربنا كل الديون قبل أن تأتينا الرسل المنون، واغفر واستر أنت أكرم من ستر، وصلاة الله تغشى المصطفى من إلى الحق دعانا والوفاء بكتاب فيه للناس شفاء وعلى الآل كرام الشرفاء وعلى الصحب المصابيح الغرار اللهم اهدنا بهداك واجعلنا ممن يسارع في رضاك ولا تولنا وليا سواك ولا تجعلنا ممن خالف أمرك وعصاك وحسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم يا ربنا اعترفنا بأننا اقترفنا وأننا أسرفنا على لظى أشرفنا فتب علينا توبة تغسل لكل حوبة واستر لنا العورات وآمين الروعات واغفر لوالدينا ربي ومولودينا والأهل والإخوان وسائر الخلان وكل ذي محبة أو جيرة أو صحبة والمسلمين أجمع آمين ربي فاسمع فضلا وجودا منا لا باكتساب منا بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سولي صلى وسلم ربي عليه عد الحب وآله وصحبه عدادة الصحب والحمد للإله في البد والتناهي الحمد لله رب العالمين. Thank you very much everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank
Salam.
you.
Thank you.